I can't believe the scientist expert in the jury is on the prosecution side after Baruch von Zies clearly contradicted him about the experiment being a success. A fatal wound. And how do you explain that?
Hold it!
Another fatal injury, you say? It doesn't make any sense.
I didn't think I'd have to spell it out, but here we go. Just because there were 2 fatal wounds doesn't mean I'm saying the victim had 2 lives to lose, does it?
Oh, that's what I'm complaining about? That is inexcusable pettifoggery, my friend. Ryunosuke, too right.
Obviously at first we thought the bloke had died due to his spine snapping in half as well.
But you're saying that's not the case?
You'll get your answer once I finish my fish and chips, if you don't keep butting in every few seconds.
But we all know that's a bottomless bag. The victim plummeted 30 feet into a glass tower. It would be reasonable to assume that is the cause of death.
Right, that's what we all thought, but it was the red herring, wasn't it?
Hold it!
The defense knew nothing of this crucial information. The prosecution received this report from the forensic investigation team only this morning. That was the first we knew of it as well. I can only apologize for the impossibility of informing the defense. Sarcastic and insincere. Thanks. So, what was the nature of this sharp object? Among the accused's tools that were in use at the demonstration, one is of particular interest. This.
Oh yes, that would appear to be some kind of screwdriver, wouldn't it?
Aha! There he is! My trusty little companion, Andrew! Okay, you give your tools names. Right, of course. Andrew, of course. Do you not know? Do you know each other already? It's one of my dear friends, like all my tools. I named them all, you know. We're one big happy family. Andrew is my flathead screwdriver, of course. His brother Michael is a crosshead.
Well, it would appear that your beloved Andrew has a red stain on his shank.
That isn't... It's blood beyond all reasonable doubt. No.
And that's not all. The long sharp shape of this Andrew fellow is completely consistent with the victim's wound.
What? What?
Order? The court will enter his friend of the defendant as evidence.
Andrew. So one of Professor Hairbrain's tools is a murder weapon? Great. Okay, this has a very peculiar shape. A shape of an A. I've seen this unusually shaped handle before. It's the same screwdriver that was lodged in the grill on the floor of the kinesis machine. Which could be important information, so I should definitely make a note of it. Poking through the grill in the base of what remains of the kinesis machine. Okay. Here we go. This is blood. Mr. Asman's, no doubt. This is the problem with looking at murder weapons. That they have blood on them? What do you mean? It's not the first time we see blood. Okay. And how do you suppose Mr. Hairbrain, Professor Hairbrain, killed the victim before doing anything with the machine?
Hold it!
What grounds do you have for saying that?
Do you really need to ask? There were only 2 people on that public experimentation stage in front of the whole crowd.
The victim, Mr. Odie Asman, and the accused, Professor Hairbrain. I mean, it could have been someone on the other side at the Crystal Tower. Well, I guess the screwdriver is not on the Crystal Tower, so that makes no sense. He must have been killed on the experimentation stage if the screwdriver tool is the murder weapon. That's true. And we know for certain that before the experiment, the victim was alive. That's right, I saw him with my own eyes. Furthermore, following the explosion and kinesis, nobody went anywhere near the body.
In other words, only someone else on the stage with the victim could possibly have done it.
Professor?
Excuse me!
Professor Hairbrain, do you have some information that may be relevant here? Professor? Sorry. I was just calculating the optimum coefficient of electrolysis to separate molecules in the human body. And the witness stand is the best place for that? It seemed as though you might have something to say about Inspector Gregson's last remark. Yes, that's right, of course. He just said that nobody else could have done it, didn't he?
Yes, that's right. Who else could have stabbed the victim, eh?
I don't know, but there's no way that I could possibly have stabbed Mr. Asman, as you say.
Eh?
Explain, please, Professor. Of course, this cold-hearted policeman may not be aware, I suppose. But humans are warm-blooded mammals with blood running continuously through their veins.
I had heard.
Then surely you see, if I'd plunged something in the size of Andrew into the man's chest, the whole stage would have been a bloodbath. No, a blood-swimming pool. But thousands of Londoners were watching me at the time. And yet not one of them claims to have seen a swimming pool of blood.
Well, no, I suppose not.
You see, not one. True, I didn't see anything like that. Well done, Professor. That was a great counter-argument.
Order! Order!
God, is he gonna smash his glass again? Pray forgive the discourtesy if I savor a drop from my hallowed chalice to accompany my old friend's adieu sing. No, he's just drinking wine, okay. Very harmless. Here's to you, Albert. Oh, you're too kind, Barack, but I'm really not a pet on you. Ah! No, you're not. No? You've neglected to mention one crucial possibility. I have? A particular situation in which very little bleeding would result from a stab wound.
Oh, of course.
Inspector, enlighten the court, please.
Yes, sir.
Where are they going with this? Do they mean leaving the murder weapon inside the chest and not pulling it out would have stopped the bleeding?
Very well, you will amend your formal testimony now, Inspector Gregson. The weapon the victim was stabbed with must have been left in his body whilst he was beamed through the air.
Can we already present our findings here? It was poking through a grill in the base of what remains in the base of the machine.
Objection!
You say that while the weapon remains in the body, there's very little bleeding. Is that unequivocal?
Look, there was no blood on the experimentation stage, even though that's where the fellow was stabbed. The only explanation for that is if the screwdriver was still in his body, stopping any heavy bleeding.
Yeah, I guess that is the only explanation. Then I'm very confused how the murder took place. Really. And also very confused about the teleporting thing, but one after one another. It's common medical knowledge, my learned friend, even on your side of the world. Oh, I see what the game was doing! The game set me up with case 1, so I could learn about the medical knowledge that I need for this case. This is amazing! This is amazing storytelling! I love it. Yes, but about the screwdriver. The thing is, we actually saw it at the scene ourselves on the experimentation stage. What? It was on the floor by the wreckage of the machine, poking through a metal grill. I went to pick it up, but a detective here stopped me. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson?
Now you come to mention it, yes.
Inspector, are we to understand that you permitted the defense counsel to investigate? As is my right? Excuse me? Had you contravened the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? What? Not exactly, he didn't let us investigate the machine.
No, not at all. I wouldn't do that. I just let him look, nothing more. I was very clear he wasn't to touch a thing.
Yes, that's true. This screwdriver was in plain sight on the stage. But it shouldn't have been, should it?
What are you getting at?
If this tool had still been in the victim's body when the victim was beamed away by the machine, then it shouldn't have still been on the stage.
Oh.
That's right, it should have been beamed across to the Crystal Tower along with Mr. Asman, and been found still lodged in the victim's chest.
Order, how do you explain this, Inspector? I don't...
It looks as though everything that the victim had on his person moved with him when he was beamed. If the screwdriver was still in his chest when the instantaneous kinesis occurred. Obviously, that should have been beamed to the destination as well. This is a strange situation. Even though people are saying that this instantaneous kinesis is a scientific impossibility, we're still basing arguments on the assumption that it did actually take place. Well, actually we're just taking the prosecution's theory, right? Assuming that to be true and leading to a contradiction. That's to prove that whatever the prosecution's saying is not true. Proof by contradiction. Alright, time to tighten the screws here. My lord, if the prosecution is unable to explain this inconsistency in its argument, we can only conclude that the testimony given in support cannot be relied upon. Yes, exactly! Oh, deathly glare. Lord Van Seeks is dumb. That's a first. Oh! No, Professor Hairbrain, don't! What are you doing?
Do you have something to say, witness?
What are you doing? I'm defending you here! Yes, I knew it. It bears out. The equations hold. Mr. Naruhodo, don't worry. What? About what exactly? I was perfectly fine. Before whatever you are gonna say, I'm sure I'm gonna regret it. Without delving into the details, there's no inconsistency. Oh my god, it dummy. What? Even if Andrew had been lodged into Mr. Asman's chest, my trusty tool wouldn't have moved. Andrew remaining on the stage is consistent with my calculations. I so wanna smack him right now, inside this court, right here, right now. What? You backstabbing witness? Defendant? It would seem. I can't. It would seem your illusions have been shattered. Clearly, we should hear the accused's explanation. Or should I say, this brilliant scientist's explanation? Just when I'd found an inconsistency in the prosecution's argument. Scientists.
Very well, the defendant will testify again. Provide us with the scientific explanation as to why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails to hold.
In the name of Apollo, I will, my lord. Are you just pulling this out of your butt? Seriously, this is completely unscientific. What is happening? To be clear, I'm still at the stage of gathering data in my research. My hypothesis states that the kinesis cannot transport metal though. Hence, the metal weapon would have stayed put. Metal, you say? I'm pretty sure he had some metal on him, didn't he? Like this thing. Don't tell me that's not metal. His glasses? His buttons? Code buttons? In other words, the point just raised by Mr. Naruhodo isn't an inconsistency at all. Mr. Asman was a patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible. Now I have a duty to protect the incredible machine that we built together. I'm speechless. I'm so speechless.
So, the thrust of your testimony, Professor, is
that based upon his hypothesis, metal objects cannot be moved by this method of instantaneous kinesis.
In other words?
In other words, since the screwdriver is made of metal, even if it remained lodged in the victim's chest, its subsequent discovery on the stage despite the victim being found elsewhere is not an inconsistency. It means I was right all along.
And therefore,
Judge, what are you doing? And therefore, Professor Albert Hairbrain could still have been the killer. My great hypothesis holds, you see. We had to make the cage used to contain the subject from wood for that very reason. From wood, okay.
Was not addressing to you, witness.
Professor Hairbrain. Yes? Whose side are you on here? I don't take sides, Mr. Naruhodo. No. Now my only interest lies in upholding my hypothesis. I'm a scientist after all.
Is he working for us or against us?
It's very hard to tell. Let's see how you cross-examine this testimony, my Nipponese friend. Yes, fire away, Mr. Naruhodo. I will. I know exactly what to present. Exactly.
Hold it!
Your hypothesis states it, so this isn't proven then? No, of course not. It's merely a hypothesis, but a good one, based upon thousands of calculations. But it is widely known that metals can be decomposed by electrolysis. Yes, of course, so I am right. My hypothesis is clearly correct. What is it about incriminating himself that makes this man so happy? It's the whole reason that the birdcage is made of wood, you see? Sorry, the birdcage? Yes, that's what I call the C obtusa cage in which Mr. Asman was placed for the kinesis.
Oh, the jail cell in which the victim was detained. It does indeed seem to be made of timber of some sort.
I thank you not to refer to it as an instrument of incarceration, your lordship. In short, any weapon lodged in the victim when he was beamed away would have been left behind on the stage, if it was made of metal, correct? Yes, that's it. Yes. It all fits perfectly with a mathematical model.
Well, the ultimate conclusion then is that the defendant alone had the opportunity to inflict this fatal injury on the victim, is it not?
Ah!
Oh, indeed, sir. Did you realize this just now?
Someone beam me out of this nightmare. Yeah, okay, let's present.
Objection!
Professor Hairbrain, you say that according to your hypothesis, nothing made of metal can be beamed by instantaneous kinesis. I swear, if I have to say instantaneous kinesis again, one more time. Using the machine you made, is that right? Yes, that's right, spot on, exactly correct. In that case, I'd ask you to have a look at this photograph that was taken at the scene. In particular, I'd like you to pay attention to the victim's face. Oh, I do not need to point out the inconsistency myself manually? You can clearly see that Mr. Asman is wearing a pair of spectacles with a metal rim. What? Metal? No! Metal can't! That's not... me! Metal? No! We've already established that a proposed murder weapon, the screwdriver, was found on the stage. However, if your hypothesis correctly predicted that outcome, it should also have predicted that the metal-rimmed spectacles would be found at the same place. My hypothesis! Professor Hairbrain, this isn't easy for me to say, but your hypothesis is clearly flawed. Gregson is gone.
Order, Counsel, what is the implication of this?
It means I was correct this whole time. If on the day in question the alleged instantaneous kinesis never actually took place, then it's entirely possible that the victim was killed somewhere other than on the stage. And in that case, someone other than the defendant could have been the culprit. But my hypothesis is sound. I proved it that day. The experiment was a success. The experiment was proof of all my work. If I could say something in my capacity as a fellow of the Royal Society.
Yes, sure, number 4, go ahead.
As a man of science, there's one thing I simply cannot abide. And that's a fraud who pretends to be a fellow man of science. What? Wait, Scott! Are you suggesting my science is suspect? It's just been disproved, hasn't it, in front of all of us. In other words, the whole demonstration was a complete nonsense from start to finish. Believe me, my fellow jurors, when I tell you that this man is a heel, a bouncer, and a fraud. I say the record of that machine should be stripped down and thoroughly examined. Oh, wait. I was supposed to prevent that. No, never! The machine is the essence of my entire hypothesis. It's protected by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. I never wanted all about it. Who made up such a dead rule? I don't like the way this seems to be going. What's the best way for me to help the professor? Raise an objection to what? I don't have anything to object to. Wait and see, is that correct? Let me save here. Let's just wait and see. And maybe I should watch and wait for the time being. My first that a machine requires a thorough examination. But what about the special dispensation that's been mentioned? Oh gosh, this is all too much.
It's determined that the machine itself was a murder weapon. I think you'll find that act won't apply.
But it wasn't, right?
According to the murder weapon, anyone considered as fair as that.
So we are all in agreement, are we, that the machine should be stripped? No! If I don't do something, they will...
Objection!
Professor Hairbrain has yet to perfect his invention. That would seem to be the case, yes. But even so what? Going to such trouble and expense to create a fake machine to display in public, he would have absolutely no reason to do such a thing.
Objection!
He had an obvious reason to do exactly that. For the research grant money.
If the government was foolish enough to have deemed that man's ridiculous nor implausible, he and his conspirators would have received a handsome sum indeed.
Conspirators? What would be the value of such a grant? 10 pounds? 10 pounds?
You're an order of magnitude out, madam. 500 pounds a year.
I could live handsome on that much for years.
The Society's noticed an increase in bogus public demonstration in the field of science recently, and plenty of scientists arguing with each other to get the largest slice of the funding cake. People's agreed there is plenty motive enough for murder, I assure you.
No. I haven't deceived anyone, least of all the government. My hypothesis is sound. The science is sound. Please, you must believe me. Yeah, do they not have like peer review in this era? Probably not, because they want to protect their inventions and stuff like that.
Objection!
No matter how unbelievable this hypothesis may seem to you, ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains that the victim was transported instantly to the Crystal Tower. Which means that the experiment was a success. Barak! And therefore, the only person who could possibly have committed this murder is the accused.
Barak.
Where is this heading? I have no idea. My lord, if I may.
Yes, Your Lord Van Zieks?
The prosecution would like to summon new witnesses to the stand. New witnesses?
What would be the nature of their involvement?
They were spectators of the demonstration at the exhibition, who were occupying special seats. Eyewitnesses?
Very well, the court grants the prosecution's request. I should very much like to hear from eyewitnesses to the incident.
The prosecution's stance is clear. This experiment was no postige? What? The accused killed the financier victim there on the public stage before the very eyes of the spectators. Now, my learned friend. Oh, yes? It's time for you to make your own stance clear. There's clearly a flaw in the professor's hypothesis. I can definitely see that. But where does that leave me?
We shall take a short recess now, during which time the prosecution will prepare its new witnesses to take the stand.
As you wish, my lord.
Good, in that case, court is adjourned for 20 minutes.